Hello and welcome to the video lecture for week 3, day 1, in which we're going to talk about peer review and how to do that, because we could use USF rights for peer review, but I find it to be, a lot of students don't like it. I don't like it. So we're going to do peer review on Canvas, but that's also a bit of a like a learning curve in and of itself. So you click on Understanding Concepts. And sometimes I bundle the readings on these pages. So take note that the reading for this week is Chapter 12. Once you click on USF Rights, you go to the e-text. It's going to talk about writing style. But right now, I'm going to discuss something that should be sort of familiar. I've mentioned it before, collective feedback files, which is how I will be giving you comments for your rough drafts. Essentially, I'm not going to be giving you text-based comments, but instead on USF rights, I will be individually reviewing the assignment. Let's look at that. I will be scoring your paper to, in a holistic sense so that you understand parts that could be better or things that you did well on it. And anything that you submit to USF rights will kind of be broken up into parts for scoring. And the lower the score, the worse that you did on that particular learning outcome for the assignment. The higher the score, the better that you did. So you will be getting individual score-based feedback from me on USF rights. In terms of text-based comments for better understanding, that's where the collective feedback file comes in, and it's something that's available to all my 3250 courses, although I do tailor them to each section, because each section that I have, they do different things with their drafts, and so I then change the types of suggestions for making your draft better. So the collective feedback file will always be available on a peer review or final draft module, and that's what week 3 is. And you'll find it on this tab that says instructor feedback. And you go there and it's just going to be this, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Well, you look for the file link, and you see it says to be uploaded soon. But if there were a file preview or link here, you would open it up and it would look like this, except this one's for project 4 from last semester. But the basic premise of it is always going to be the same. It's going to discuss about 6 to 10 issues that are recurring, they're redundant throughout so many student submissions. And they're just important things that could help you strengthen your own paper. And what I suggest is having this open, having your assignment open, so that you can take note of things that you can review and fix. And I always have a sample of what I mean and why it's an issue and how you can improve it. So you would go through your paper and say, oh, okay, I could improve that, or maybe it doesn't apply to me so much, but I missed this little nuance of it. Before you start changing anything on your draft, I urge you to click on the review tab. Oh, no, I'm sorry, don't do that. I urge you to first change your font color type, as odd as that sounds, because then anything that you're going to add to your paper, in theory anyway, right? Anything that you're going to add to your paper is going to be a new color, and I can see, okay, they're going to add this sentence or that sentence. And if you decide, I'm going to delete so-and-so part of my email or memo or letter, obviously this stuff is for a different class, the content you see here. If you're going to delete something, denote it by using something on Microsoft Word called strike through, and it puts a line through it. This type of final draft is different from what you've done in other courses probably, but it helps me to quickly assess that you have changed your draft. That's the point of a final draft, at least in my class. I don't want to see your pretty polished final draft in which I can't really tell that you made any changes, and some students try to just turn in the same thing and get away with it. In this way, I can account for the changes, and it helps you also to note, as you're looking at the CFF, the different sorts of additions or deletions you need to make based on my textual feedback in the collective feedback file. And as you go through it, there's also just a listing of additional issues that I felt were not big enough to include a sample and everything for, but it's still things that are incredibly important so that you get the best grade on your final. I don't know why it keeps going back to black, that you can. And let's go back to understanding concepts here. So the collective feedback file is going to help you with your final draft. And it's hard for some students to grasp why they're not getting text-based feedback in a writing course, but this is a professional writing course. And so the department has written these assignments so that it simulates a professional environment as much as it can. And in a professional environment, you're hardly ever going to be told exactly what you did right or wrong, especially in paragraph form. Otherwise, if you keep asking things or asking for text-based feedback in a job environment, they're going to find somebody else. So this collective feedback file is also simulating that type of feedback that you're going to get in a professional environment. It might just be feedback that applies to the whole department, and you have to kind of figure it out yourself. The same can be said of how you have to draft this final. And then on the understanding concepts page, there's ways to think about revising your draft other than just looking at the feedback file. So look at it, compare your draft and see what you can change. And then I would set it aside and review this page in thinking of what are the higher and lower order concerns of my draft that I can change. Higher order concerns would be something that's shown on this slideshow. A higher order concern are the bigger picture kind of ideas. Do you have flow? Do you have purpose? The audience is there, those sorts of things. And then the lower order concerns would be more like proofreading stuff. So you can take those sorts of things in stages. Another important takeaway from this slideshow that you can skim through is things to delete, and especially for brevity. Something I like to show students about, and some people have seen it and some people haven't, implied phrasing when you're repeating yourself without knowing that you are. So if you write a sentence that looks like this, the articles I've chosen to review include this sort of phrasing can be deleted, because obviously if you're drafting something in which you're reviewing articles, you don't need to say it outright, and it's bloating up what you're going to say, and you can delete it. That's a skill you're going to have to build as you're taking this class. It's deleting things. It's a skill that's super important to professional writing, but you can apply it to any writing class or any writing assignment going forward. There's also revision tips in this slideshow. If you're a visual learner, an audio learner, ways to proofread and work in stages, and avoiding the temptation of never reviewing your rough draft and finalizing it, because that will not only result in a lower grade for you, but you're not going to learn anything from this module. Another part of this module is peer review, and I'm going to edit this because the way you're going to find your peers for your peer review assignment is not by looking at the people button. So I'm going to Canvas will automatically assign these groups. Once you submit the assignment. There are some phrases to consider in terms of peer etiquette, like avoiding starting sentences like this and thinking of how you can rephrase something to sound more proactive, but you're critiquing someone, but you're not doing it to tear them apart, because that's not the point of peer review. There's also a video you can watch in which two peer reviewers analyze their writing and they give each other feedback, and there's someone who's very passive and someone who's very aggressive, and you want to fall in between those two approaches when you're doling out your own peer review. So let's go back to the module in which I already showed you instructor feedback, and that's where you can find the collective feedback file once I post it. And let's look at the two assignments for this, the first part of this week. And that's after you read the USF Writes writing style chapter to answer these 4 questions, you don't have to worry about MLA or APA formatting, because it's a text entry box assignment. You just click submit, you start typing into this box on Canvas, you type in 1 through 4 and you're done. And that is a smaller assignment and one that I will accept late. And note, when an assignment says it's open until a particular date, that's not the due date. That's when the assignment is open for late submission. The due date is always the important date and one to note of, and this is not the due date. So just a reminder on that. The second part of this, the first part of week 3's assignments, my brain sometimes needs time to catch up, is peer review. There's a lot of instructions here, and it's like, this is too much. But basically, it's outlining that there's 2 parts of peer review. And the first part of your grade for peer review is hitting reply, going to your draft, copy and pasting it, and posting it on time as indicated by the date here. That will get you 5 points. The second part, which is worth another 10 points, is commenting on 2 peer drafts by 3 days later. So there's 2 parts of this assignment worth a different amount of points. And if you do not do this first part on time, you don't post your draft on time, you're locked out of the entirety of the points. And that's all this is explaining right here. And then in order to see, like, who are my peers? So this assignment is edited so that when you submit your assignment on time, January 25th at 11:59 p.m., on January 26th at 12:01 a.m., Canvas will generate the peer review groups, and you can find who is in your group by clicking, and this is just a video kind of detailing that, and I paused it at the right moment, but you're going to click on assignments. You're going to click on peer review the assignment that you submitted, and it's going to show you all these kinds of things, or that you can resubmit. But on this red box, it's going to show you who you're assigned to peer review. And you don't need to do anything else here. Don't click their name and don't start using like these fancy peer review tools that are there. Instead, go back to the peer review posting, click Control and F, and type in their name. Maybe it's Emily. And if they have posted, or they should have already posted, you can easily then find their name among all the other postings, and make sure you offer Emily 2 comments about their draft, contingent on these sorts of things. These are ideas. You don't have to comment on these things. And then maybe your second person is David, and offer David 2 comments about their draft, for a total of 4 comments. And you can do it this way so you've posted your reply and you're going to hit submit. And then you're going to reply to each person, Emily or David, and offer 2 comments, hit submit for Emily's post, and then go back to David's post and offer David 2 comments, and you're done. So the first part, posting your draft, needs to be done by January 25th, or you're locked out of the entire assignment. And the 2 comments need to be submitted 3 days later. Otherwise, you will not get the remainder of the possible 10 points. If any of this was confusing, then please email me or WhatsApp me, and I'll see you on the day 2 video.